Sleep deprivation. Sleep deprivation involves denying the suspect sleep to break down their mental resistance. This technique aims to induce fatigue, confusion, and a lowered ability to resist interrogation. Good cop or bad cop is a classic interrogation technique where two interrogators play contrasting roles. One acts aggressively, bad cop, to intimidate the suspect, while the other, good cop, is sympathetic and understanding. This dynamic creates a psychological pressure on the suspect, who may feel compelled to cooperate with the more sympathetic interrogator. Sensory deprivation. Sensory deprivation isolates the suspect in a dark, silent environment to disorient them. This lack of sensory input can cause psychological distress and make the suspect more susceptible to interrogation. Peace model. The peace technique is a 5-stage process designed to avoid coercion and reduce false confessions. It promotes a dialogue where the suspect can freely provide their account before presenting any evidence of inconsistencies. The goal is to obtain a comprehensive account of events, not just a confession. Stage 1: Planning and preparation. Investigators gather as much information as possible about the incident, including identifying who needs to be interviewed and why. Stage 2: Engage and explain. The interview builds rapport with the suspect by asking how they prefer to be addressed, how much time they have, and offering reassurance if they seem anxious. Stage 3: Account, clarification, and challenge. The interview obtains a full account of events from the suspect without interruptions. Follow-up questions are asked to clarify details, and inconsistencies are challenged if necessary. Stage 4: Closure. The interview summarizes the suspect's account to ensure mutual understanding and verifies that all necessary topics have been covered. Stage 5: Evaluation. The interview assesses the interview's effectiveness, considers how the new information impacts the investigation, and identifies areas for improvement. The peace technique focuses on building rapport and encouraging cooperation, ensuring a more ethical and effective interrogation process. Waterboarding. Waterboarding simulates drowning to induce extreme fear and panic. The suspect is strapped to a board and water is poured over their face, creating the sensation of suffocation. This technique is widely considered torture and is illegal in many jurisdictions. Mr. Big technique. The Mr. Big technique, primarily used in Canada, involves law enforcement creating a fake criminal organization to entice a suspect. Starting with a casual encounter, they build rapport and offer the suspect roles in minor criminal activities. As the suspect progresses, they meet Mr. Big, portrayed as the organization's leader. In reality, Mr. Big is an undercover interrogator skilled at extracting confessions. Mr. Big confronts the suspect with fabricated evidence and urges them to confess to their involvement to protect the organization. The final meeting, where the confession is recorded, reveals the organization as a police operation, leading to the suspect's arrest. This controversial technique is used cautiously due to concerns about eliciting false confessions under the guise of criminal opportunities. Rapid-fire technique. In the rapid-fire technique, one or more interrogators ask questions in quick succession, preventing the suspect from fully answering each question before the next is asked. This rapid pace aims to confuse the suspect and induce contradictions in their responses. Subsequently, interrogators focus on questioning the suspect about these contradictions to challenge the consistency and credibility of their statements. Temperature manipulation. Temperature manipulation exposes the suspect to extreme cold or heat to weaken their resistance. The physical discomfort and stress from temperature extremes are intended to break down the suspect's mental defenses. Pride and ego down. Pride and ego down involves undermining the suspect's self-esteem to induce cooperation. Interrogators may belittle or challenge the suspect's abilities, creating a psychological need for the suspect to prove themselves by providing information. Noise bombardment. Noise bombardment exposes the suspect to loud, disorienting noises to induce stress and confusion. This technique aims to disrupt the suspect's ability to think clearly and increase their vulnerability to interrogation. Informal questioning. Police sometimes talk to people in the field without arresting them to avoid reading Miranda rights. This way, they can gather important information while making it seem like a casual chat. Another method is to change the location to a less formal place and ask questions in a relaxed way. This makes the person feel like the interrogation is over, even though they are still being questioned. Light manipulation. Light manipulation uses bright lights or flashing lights to disorient the suspect. The sensory overload from intense lighting is intended to cause psychological discomfort and reduce the suspect's ability to resist interrogation. Repetition. To get a suspect to provide a complete and honest answer, the interrogator repeatedly asks the same questions and repeats the suspect's responses. This can make the suspect so bored that they end up giving a full answer just to stop the questioning. Minimization and maximization. These are two variations of the same tactic. In minimization, the interview downplays the crime, making the suspect more likely to confess, thinking they might face a lighter punishment. In maximization, the interview exaggerates the severity of the crime and mentions the harshest possible penalties, making the suspect believe that confessing might result in a lesser sentence. This technique is controversial and can sometimes lead to false confessions. Loaded questions. Loaded questions assume certain facts are true. When police ask these questions to tired suspects, it can make them accidentally reveal the truth or give false confessions. This technique uses the suspect's tiredness to get information they might not have shared otherwise. The pause technique. After the suspect answers a question, the interviewer remains silent and maintains eye contact. This tactic makes the suspect feel pressured to provide additional information. As they continue talking, there's a greater chance they might contradict themselves or facts known from evidence gathered in the case. Emotional appeal. Emotional appeal relies on the suspect's emotions to gain cooperation. Interrogators may appeal to feelings of guilt, fear, or a desire for forgiveness, aiming to prompt the suspect to confess or share information based on these emotional triggers. Fear up. Fear up is a technique that uses intimidation tactics to elicit information from the suspect. This can involve threats, aggressive questioning, or creating a tense atmosphere to instill fear and urgency, compelling the suspect to provide answers.